Welcome to Fun and Games Side Quests. Every episode is a different host sharing a video game they love and why they love it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Doug Lief, and I am the host of the Nostalgium Arcanum podcast, where we revisit all things pop culture. So it is a real treat for me to be on Side Quest talking to you today about a game that I might be the only person who remembers. I want to talk to you a little bit about my love for a game called Conquests of the Longbow. Conquest of the Longbow is a classic Sierra point-and-click adventure game in which you play as Robin Hood. And it might be my very favorite version of the Robin Hood story, setting aside the Disney version, which is pretty rad. Anyway, this game has all of the standard Sierra point-and-click stuff. You've got your eyeball, hand, various icons that allow you to interact with the world, but it has a whole bunch of things that kind of elevate it above the standard stuff that you'd see in, say, King's Quest. Some of those interesting touch points include a system where you control the rest of the merry men at various intervals. So, for example, you will come upon a point in the game where you need to capture and rob a nobleman's carriage as it passes through Sherwood Forest. The game will take you into kind of a huddle where each of the members of your band, say Friar Tuck or Will Scarlet, they'll all give you advice on what to do. And you can decide on a course of action, and various courses of action will have better or worse outcomes, generally increasing or decreasing the overall number of your band of outlaws. So the goal, of course, is to have as many as possible. So you're recruiting throughout the game, and the more you recruit, the more these sections are likely to go your way. So that's one fun element. Another interesting element is the way the game tackles copy protection. Old school point-and-click adventure games like this would often simply have a screen pop up, say, after 15 minutes of play, that will ask you for the third word in the fifth paragraph on the 8th page of the manual. And if you didn't have that manual, you were hosed. And that was their way of stopping, illegal copying. This game does that, but in a much more satisfying way. So buried within the manual are tidbits about medieval lore and world building that will actually come to play in the mechanical puzzles of the game rather than simply be a mere check on your legal ownership of the software. So, for example, on one page there is a picture of a hand with letters all over it. That is a medieval code alphabet that you will use in the game. So, for example, there is a mystical the Green Man, the ancient tree of the forest. You can speak to him, but you have to summon him by typing in the correct word via this code on your hand. There are other places where you will use that as well. Another one is a bit of gemology. Inside the manual, they will teach you about the way medieval people viewed the properties of various precious stones. And you will come upon a riddle in the game where that knowledge will be critical to your progression. The game also boldly features a number of puzzles with multiple different solutions. So, for example, you have to infiltrate this corrupt abbey's church, corrupt bishop's church, whatever the title is. I don't know the Church of England. Someone check me on that. Anyway, so there's ways to get past him. You can get him drunk. You can sneak by. I believe you might be able to bypass that part of the game entirely. But there are all sorts of ways in which alternate solutions are encouraged and on offer, which, usually in these point-and-click adventure games, there's just one prescribed thing. You combine this item with that item, and that allows you to progress. And that's here for sure, but there is at least some branching to the narrative, and that offers a lot of at least some replayability and some thoughtfulness to how you approach things as Robin Hood. I like the world of this Robin Hood a lot as well. Not only is the music lovely for an early 90s, late 80s MIDI synthesized composition, it definitely apes medieval style music. And I remember actually being able to export that to a MIDI synthesized keyboard, and the keyboard would output even more realistically synthesized sounds than our little 486 Windows 3.1 CD could do or PC could do. I remember getting this game, and it came in a package with a Hoyle software bundle, a copy of Goblins with Three Eyes, which could be a whole episode of its own, and this, which was by far the most robust and deep game on offer. And I just remember coming back to it over and over again because I enjoyed exploring this world of Sherwood Forest, and it has a bunch of mysticism in it that Robin Hood stories normally don't. So, for example, Maid Marian is here, as she normally is in the story, but she's a druid priestess who performs magic of one type or another. Again, magical elements will come into play throughout this story, and it makes Robin Hood's world feel just a little more special and vibrant than, say, a standard story of a medieval outlaw would be. This world is full of sprites and ancient tree spirits, the kind of stuff that would again normally be at home with like druidic myth. That's all here as well, and that combined with the Robin Hood stuff gives it a really neat flavor. And of course, it still has that classic Sierra point and click snappy writing, because in a point and click adventure game, there are usually there's a right thing to click on and a wrong thing to click on, and so you're going to be spending your time making a lot of wrong choices as you fumble your way through trying to solve what to do, where to go, who to talk to, and what to say. And just like in a good stealth game where it has to be fun even if you get caught, here making the wrong answer fun all comes down to the writing, right? What is the narrator going to say, or Robin or the other character is going to do in response to what you do? And thankfully, this game, like Space Quest, like King's Quest, these other classic Sierra games, and their LucasArts sisters and brothers, this game also has that in spades. This kind of very funny stuff, but not so funny and fourth wall breaking to the point where it becomes like Robin Hood not the Prince of Thieves, Robin Hood Men in Tights. And so it never totally undermines the that mystical medieval world that they want to build, right? You are still fully invested in this folklore version of Sherwood Forest, even though you're getting all of this funny stuff. Those two things are never in conflict, they're always in concert. So that's just something I love about this title as well. There are multiple endings depending on how well you do. The game has a point system where you get points for doing certain things, and obviously the more points you rack up, the more merry men in your outlaw party, the better you do. So there are endings where maybe Robin Hood is caught and there was a trial at the end, and depending on what you did, maybe Robin is convicted and sentenced to hang. But hopefully you did well enough that you've. Also, the other mechanic is that you're raising money throughout the game to try and buy King Richard's ransom to bring him home from the Crusades and put the usurper King John out of business. So those things all factor into the ending. Did you get enough money to help King Richard, and have you done enough good in the community as Robin Hood that witnesses will step forward in your defense so that you will be pardoned for your thieving ways as this outlaw of Sherwood? The game also features a number of other notable Robin Hood characters. So yes, you've got Friar Tuck, you've got Alan a Dale, Will Scarlet, Little John, Prince John, and of course the Sheriff of Nottingham. All these fun characters that are here, and they all have a uniquely written voice that feels all their own. So they're even more distinct than, say, the ones in, Kevin Costner's version, or the most recent one that Ridley Scott directed with Russell Crowe. This version of the Robin Hood story feels alive, and I love that about that. It's a fun world to inhabit because you're going to be inhabiting it at a fairly slow pace. This is, of course, a point-and-click adventure game, so there's no running, no jumping, but you will be doing certain classic Robin Hood things. There is, of course, archery to be had, and you will do the classic Robin Hood story of dressing in disguise multiple times. Actually, you wear lots of disguises in the game at various points, but infiltrating the fair, and of course, famously splitting an arrow in an archery competition. getting to live out all those moments feels really fun. They are artfully woven into the plot, so it doesn't feel like checking off a list. And the townspeople you meet, they are, vibrant, and you can tell they are suffering under the yoke of the sheriff of Nottingham, and you do what you can to alleviate that suffering. It feels rewarding and surprisingly emotional in that respect, especially considering the limited technical stuff here. There's no voice acting; it's all text, and the sprite work is very big. Was it 640 by 480? DOS level of artistry, but even within those limitations, I think the animation and the backgrounds are all really great. They're all really vibrant and really bring to life this world. So this might actually be my favorite point and click adventure, even more so than some of the the more well known ones, the your Monkey Islands and King's Quest or Corandias. This one holds a special place in my heart, and probably even more so just simply because of the fact that nobody knows it exists. There is one other Conquest game, I believe that is. I forget what setting it has, but also a fairly medieval Renaissance type setting. I've never touched it. It's more primitive than this one, and I never see it brought up in the discussion of classic point and click games. I guess LucasArts kind of, rightly so, has the monopoly on that, and then to a lesser extent, other Sierra titles, Space Quest, King's Quest in particular, even grimy stuff like Leisure Suit Larry. So this one remains a forgotten gem, but I highly encourage you to seek it out because I think it is a gem. And if you're feeling a hankering for a point and click adventure and you think, well, I've kind of done all the big ones, or what else is out there that I haven't seen, I would strongly encourage you to give this one a try. It's available on GOG, and I'm pretty sure Steam as well. So it's not hard to find. And it's just a beautiful little piece of a medieval folklore tale that you get to play out. So I really want to thank you for listening to this, and of course for having me on SideQuest. This was a real treat. And if you like this, please listen to Nostalgium Arcanum. You can follow us on Twitter at NostalgiumPod, or find us on Instagram as well. We cover games from time to time. We also do movies and TV shows and all kinds of other stuff. So please go ahead and check that out. And thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed this. And of course, happy gaming.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, talking about Superman.
Oh, cool. I could talk about Superman.
I could talk some more about Superman.
We know.
I'll bet a few people would want to get in on this.
I'm down.
You know it.
That sounds like fun. I'll do it.
Cool, let's do it. We can call the show Men of Steel.
And you can find it at certainpov.com.
Or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yay.
CPOV.
certainpov.com.